Hello, and welcome to another episode of Shampoo and Booze. This is episode number 34 on shampooandbooze.com.
So, you see a lot, or I see a lot these days, when you read about articles about Airbnb, about how hotels are struggling to figure out how to compete. Because, look at this. Yeah. Since we started this podcast, we get nice emails from people who say, they found the podcast, they like it, and that they're either thinking of doing an Airbnb or they're, in the process of actually, making one.
Or they're doing it.
Or they're already doing it.
Yeah, exactly. We've gotten several emails.
I just talked to a friend the other day, and he said that he found out we did this podcast. He's like, that's a great idea. I've been wanting to rent my basement out,
Oh, yeah.
So I think it's really of become a thing,
Yeah.
I know, too, people who, when they now travel, they think of renting on Airbnb and the other rental services before they would rent a hotel.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I can see why hotels would, want to be a little worried.
The other thing, too, is I have noticed this because when we're at the gym, I watch, regular cable TV, and I see ads for Airbnb and VRBO.
Really?
Yeah, I've seen a couple of them. And so I'm like, okay, it's becoming mainstream enough that, people are seeing it on TV, and they're like,
yeah,
I'm gonna check the prices and check the quality first.
And like this summertime, we've had a handful of people stay who told us this is our first Airbnb rental. Like, we just had a family stay. They were like,
we don't even know what to do here.
And they kind of warn us. They're like, this is our first time, so we don't know what to do. As if it's
we're like, it's just a house.
As if it's like a different process.
You live in a house, you get it.
Yeah. So a woman, her and her family who stayed in, it was their first time. She just gave us a review, and she was very excited. Like, it was awesome. Had a full kitchen.
Yeah, it was cute.
I think that's what people like about it. Anyway.
Yeah.
I just bring this up because the ideas of, what hotels are doing to compete, we actually have a bit of an example from our local town.
Yeah. So we have a historical hotel. I think they have 45 rooms.
It's like a hotel on a hill. It looks like a huge mansion.
It's like Victorian.
Yeah.
Mansion. It's like the fancy place in town, which... Right. We're a tourist town, so it's cool that we do have, a high-end place. They have a restaurant and a bar downstairs. It's a whole thing.
Yeah.
So what they did is they opened a couple different things. They bought the property behind them, which was already a B&B.
It was like a B&B, an old house that had a big piece of land.
Yeah, right. And behind the B&B were already 3 historical cabins that the B&B had rented out, but then the hotel actually built 5 more prefab cabins, almost like tiny houses.
Right. Basically, I remember one day I was driving by, I was like, whoa, where'd those cabins come? All of a sudden
they were there.
And it's my friend who works in he's a builder. He says that they just came with a crane.
Yeah.
And they were already pre-built.
Right.
And they just grabbed them, put them on foundations, and they were ready to go.
Yeah. I mean, they had to do the finishing inside, but they're basically prefab Lowe's built type deal. But so there was a grand opening a few nights ago, and I went to it, and it was really cool because they had the B&B had already had a pool there, so they were kind of centered around the pool, which was pretty awesome. And it's right behind the hotel, so you kind of park near the hotel and just walk over. And it wasn't my style, most of it was from Lowe's, it's just quick whatever prefab stuff.
Again, it's something that, and again, we don't mean to be snobby. It looks nice.
Yeah, it's nice. It's clean.
But sometimes when you use its materials, it doesn't last. And so also, they don't stand up to a wear and tear.
The style feels very dated, almost from the early 2000s. Okay, whatever. Yeah, I am snobby.
Early 2000s.
No, late 1990s, early 2000s. Just kind of whatever. Like, to me, I was just like,
I didn't
okay.
go, but you took.
I took a lot of photos,
pictures, and I wouldn't mind staying in them. Like,
no, you
like
know
they
what?
look clean and
honestly,
nice and,
like, if you look at the hotel is very dated.
Right.
The hotel feels like 70s, 80s, like granny chic, like floral, like fake colonial.
Right.
So when you go to the cabins, you're like, oh, this is like refreshing and modern, you know.
And so we have a friend who works kind of, it's for the town. He works like in the tourist industry, trying to bring people here. And if he's to be believed, he knows the head of the hotel. Supposedly the hotel did this project, and they spent a lot of money, of cash on this to compete against the rentals in our county.
Right.
Because they're realizing that a lot of people want to come to our county and stay in like a little cabin or a house rather than rent a hotel room and just have like the hotel experience.
They want their own little space.
And so, you know, it's mentioned it's before, a lot of people hold weddings here. So it is smart. It's a strategic move. So now like a wedding party could rent out all of these cabins that are around a pool. So every, you know, little couple or family can have their own little place. Yeah. But they have like, you know, a space where they can all gather.
Meeting space,
Yeah, and it really makes a lot of sense. So they're trying to, you know, make sure that they stay up to date, and it's smart. Although, aren't the prices pretty high? I mean, for like, it's one of those cabins?
I haven't actually checked. I need to check like what the prices are. I want to say they're like $150 or something, which you can rent an entire house for that around here. So... But you're right downtown, and if it is, like you said, a wedding party and they're renting the whole thing, that makes a lot of sense.
Right.
Yeah, so they're definitely our competition, but, you know, we're doing fine.
But, you know, it's cool, though, to see hotels kind of do that, you know.
I don't know why it's cool since they're our competition. So, like...
well, it's cool just in the larger sense if I take myself out of, like, thinking of them as competing.
Like, as a customer.
As a customer, I'm glad to see hotels start thinking that that's what younger people want. You know? Exactly. I don't want to stay in a hotel.
In just a room.
Like,
There's no kitchen, there's there's no living room.
Right.
It's just a room.
Yep.
That's what's cool about it. There's a little living room, a lounge, a TV, a kitchen, a big bathroom.
Right. You know, and it's my thing
deck.
Is because we stay in hotels when we travel because of work. Because our work will rent us hotel rooms.
Right.
We don't get the nice hotel rooms that have like the suite. It's like as you walk in, there's either, you know, one king bed or two, you know, whatever full beds. And then there's like a little chair by a desk, and that's it. So it's like, if you go into a room and like you have to sit on the bed, or lie on the bed, like that's the only way to like enjoy.
Yeah, it's just a room.
It's yourself, and then if you go into a restaurant downstairs, and that's the extent of it's your life, and it's such a weird. It's just so strange that for so long that was considered normal, and now everyone's like, no, I want to have a couch, and I want to be able to like cook a bit of food, and you know, it's like that's what I want.
I mean, it's really funny to say this, but I remember when we started using Airbnb and we were like, we just want a kitchen. Like, I want the ability to be more strategic in my food making. I want to be able to make breakfast and lunch and then maybe go out for dinner if I feel like it. Like, that's the scavenger mentality, and I think a lot of like millennials are like that, where they're like, I just want to throw together some breakfast and go out.
So I'm going to tell you a first world problem that I had. Yeah. We went to, it's New Orleans. We worked there for, a week or something?
Yeah, it was a week.
And, you know, it was very, I mean, come on, this is a first world problem. We stayed in a fairly nice hotel. Yeah. You know, and we had a per diem, so we could go out and eat at fairly nice places
and gain 10 pounds.
And I came home and I think I gained 8 pounds.
No, seriously,
because
that happened.
That's what happens when you have that kind of like combination of just like a hotel room and then you have to eat at a restaurant. So anytime I'm hungry, I don't have to, but I get kind of pushed into a situation where I have to eat 2,000 calories or 3,000 calories at a meal because, you know, it feels weird going to a restaurant and be like, okay, this is my one meal of the day, so I can't just eat, you know, a little tiny thing.
I think 3,000 calories a meal is pushing it. I don't think you can. I mean, that would be like 3 cheeseburgers.
Anyway, But it's nice, so when we stay in an Airbnb, we can go to the grocery store, get a small amount of food, and when I'm hungry, I can eat just like a peanut butter jelly sandwich.
Right, exactly. Some cereal.
It makes me feel better.
Right, exactly. It's just a little bit more like at home.
And we have been known to, in a hotel, pull stuff out of the mini bar and put like food in there and try and make little snacks,
Hey, you know what? We actually did that in Bellingham. We had a little like dorm fridge, and we just like made sandwiches and ate croissants and made coffee in Bellingham.
Okay, so let's talk about our rental.
Yes.
So I'm hoping this is interesting for people. I mean, people either thinking about this or doing it. I guess what we're trying to do is just document what our weeks are like, because I feel like it's important to share specific numbers and experience, because that's what we're all interested. I hope it's not just about new technology. It's just about
what are we doing?
How much can I really make?
What am I doing every week?
This we're in the middle of the summertime, and this is like our high season. Yeah. So we have 20 nights booked in this month of July.
Yep. And I did want to say that someone canceled a weekend.
So someone canceled a weekend, but they gave us almost 2 weeks ahead of time, and we rebooked it, so it was fine.
Yeah, which is great. I was really happy about. I mean, I don't think we've ever had anyone cancel. I think it happened once.
Yeah. But we had 20 nights booked because people then rebooked. So that's good. We always love 20 nights. You know what? We're going to make almost $5,000 this month. Yeah. Because our average night is about $250 for the month of July. Yeah. Because we've raised our prices in the high season. So, and that's our gross is profit. And that also includes in that $5,000 is a $25 cleaning fee per stay.
Yeah. On Airbnb, we have a $25 cleaning fee. Right. On VRBO, we have a higher one.
Now, we still have 9 open nights that we could still book. We just got a booking yesterday for a big chunk of
next week
of the weekdays.
Yes.
So now one reason why that helps is July 4th a weekend we made $900.
Yep. Look, I knew number one that July 4th weekend you will book no matter what. And I made it on Airbnb and VRBO that you have to book 3 nights within that weekend.
Right. That was kind of a cool feature that we didn't know was available. I don't know if it was even available.
I don't think so.
A year ago.
I don't think so. I don't know how you found it, but you were able to find it. And the kind of sad thing was July 4th was a long weekend, right? And these people came on Saturday. So it kind of sucked that we missed out on a Friday booking. You want Friday to Monday, but
maybe next year we can force.
We just have to say it has to be. Yeah.
So I just want to make it clear for people that might not understand. So normally it required people to book 2 nights. But Airbnb allows you to go in, and during certain dates, you can say during these certain days, they have to book now 3 nights. Or 4 nights, or it's whatever you want.
And we didn't think you could do that because we were like, well, we have a 2-night minimum. How would you change that? But it's great that you can say, look, July 4th weekend, I gotta have 3/4 nights. Right. So I knew that we'd get at least 3 nights, and I was like, I'm putting it up to $300 a night because I know it's going to get booked, and it did.
Yep. And the people, it was a family. They were super psyched, and I think that's, to me, that feels the way that any hotel would do it.
Oh yeah.
Its pricing is different on different kind of days.
Exactly.
Like actually during the week, those 9 days we still have left, I lowered our price.
Now, you used Airbnb's algorithm, right?
In this case, I was like, well, let me just try it. They're telling me I should price it at, instead of $199, do it at $174.
Right.
It's like there'll be 3 days. There'll be like one day $168, $174, and then it's $59. It's like it's just so.
Well, what's funny is you used that algorithm for this upcoming week because we had 3 nights open, and it worked. Someone booked it.
Well, I mean, the thing is,
we don't know if it worked or not.
We don't know if they would have booked anyway.
Maybe they would have booked.
But it's just one of those things where I'm hungry. I would rather have it filled and make a little bit less than not.
Than make nothing.
But, this year, I think that's the other thing. Our strategy of raising our prices has worked. I mean, that first year, I think we did like what a lot of people do. You're just, afraid it's not going to work.
Right.
You just want people to book, and you're willing to be really, really competitive.
Right, right.
And this year, since we kind of had a year's experience, saw that, everything was fine, we realized that we could raise our prices because people would pay. And I think we were undervaluing our place before.
Right, we were undervaluing it, but we needed to get started. I think that was part of it. It was like, we need to get reviews, we need to get started, we need to see if this is going to work.
So I think we've hit our optimal price point, and that is for us, $250 it's $49 on Saturdays and Sunday nights. And then
Friday and Saturday nights.
Sorry, on Friday and Saturday nights.
Yeah.
And then on weeknights, it's $199.
Because we have a lot of weekenders from DC, so they leave work on Friday, come out, and leave on Sunday.
And to us, that feels like the right price, because you're getting an entire home.
Yeah.
So imagine if it's like either you rent an entire home on 2 acres, or you book 3 hotel rooms. And it really kind of it works.
I mean, we've actually said that to some people who are like, "Can you give us a discount or whatever?" And we're like, "Look, this is 6 people on 2 acres. Compare it to Days Inn, and you'll."
You know what? We've been renting now for over 18 months. I've only had 3 people ever ask for a discount.
Oh, really?
And most times I give them like $20 off.
Yeah.
If they're nights I feel like I'm hungry to book.
Yeah.
But and that's enough. And I don't blame them. I always ask for a discount.
Hey, we're staying 4 nights. You think you can give us a deal? And you know what? Usually people do.
Yeah. So that's good. I mean, I think each of us has to figure out what works as far as pricing goes. Like, we have a friend that rents a local cabin too, and I was talking to him, and he did the exact opposite, where he's actually kind of like, I don't think he's lowered his price, but he's set his price point super competitive, like where it's an awesome deal.
And it's on the river.
He's got a river cabin, like you can walk out and
you're
fish
on the
and
river.
swim.
Yeah.
He's renting really competitively, but he's really booked.
Yeah.
And so it's really kind of like a balance between, do you want to make more, can you still rent at a higher price, or are you going to be losing out? And I feel that we're still as a rented, if not more, with a higher price.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we were booked, it's this past week, we were booked every single night, which is, I don't want to say it's rare, but it doesn't happen that often where every single night is booked.
This summer is when it happens,
right.
So.
And that's great. It just means it's busy. We're going over there every 2 or 3 days to, but hey, I'm happy for it.
That's good.
We had one problem where someone tried to wash clothes, and she texted me and said that the lights in its bathroom where the washer is don't work. Like, she blew a fuse.
Right. So in our mind, it was like the lights in that room plus the washer don't work. So we were like, she must have blown a fuse, which is weird. We've never blown that fuse before. So we actually went over there and tried to reset the fuse box. We told her how to do it, but we were like confused as to which fuse it was because it wasn't labeled very well. And that didn't fix it. So we're kind of like...
Well, the good news is we just apologized. They were only staying for 2 nights or 3 nights. So she didn't care, and it was fine. But when she checked out, we had gone over there, and we tried to fix it, and it doesn't seem it's connected to a fuse.
Right. Well, that was weird. So what we did was we called our handyman go-to guy, and he came over, and he's like, I don't know what it is.
I mean, he had his little...
a multimeter.
Yeah, and he was testing stuff, and he's like, the only way for me to figure this out is I have to come back and really spend time, going, it could be a bad
breaker or something?
I don't know.
But we don't know which breaker it is and all this stuff.
Yeah.
So the good thing is these people that are there now we gave them an extension cord for the washer because they actually needed it. So that was fine. But they leave Monday morning and people don't check in till Tuesday. So we have all Monday afternoon for him to come over and troubleshoot.
Yeah. I think, net to you.
To me, yes.
No, the people hearing this is that we find that as long as we're transparent and open about problems, people don't really care.
And if you're saying to them, too, you're actively trying to fix it.
Yeah.
Now, the people there right now didn't really care. They're like, great, just we'll use the washer, it's fine. But I think when I've rented places and there's an issue, as long as someone's like, yep, either this is how you fix it or I'll get someone over there to fix it, it's fine. The worst thing to do is to ignore it.
Yeah.
That's the worst thing.
Yeah. Or
you can't.
Or act like it hasn't. Yeah, like ignore it, act like it's not happening.
Or just be like,
don't communicate about the problem.
Or be like, I don't know, I'll see when, I'll check it out later.
Yeah. And the good news in this case, it's different if it was like the oven didn't work, or the fridge didn't work, or the AC didn't work, or the internet.
Thank God it's just the washer.
Something really special. But
yeah,
I guess this is again, if you're going to start a vacation edge rental, this is the kind of stuff that's going to happen. I mean, the TV might blow up.
And the thing is, you have to be willing to fix the problem or call someone who will fix it, and you have to pay for it.
I mean, I think
you just have to.
I mean, I think that's the other thing too. We're still kind of like, it's making a list of people we can call for immediate service.
Because there aren't very many people.
We know guys that do, different kinds of work, but they're not like, okay, I'll be there in an hour. They're like the kind of people like, I'll be there in a week.
I'll be there on Monday.
Because, I'm working on a construction job.
Right, it's tough. So. And so that's the other thing, too, with the rentals. A lot of times you're like, it's Friday afternoon and I have an issue.
Right. So I think that's why, it's really good to find that one person who's kind of like an all-around go-to guy.
Right.
Who, or lady,
girl.
Or lady. Who's willing to come over at any time.
Right, right. Who's flexible, who's like a freelancer, where you're like, all right, yep, I'll come over. Like this guy did. We were like, okay, it's 1:00. These people don't get here till 5. Could you come over? And he did.
Pulled up on his
motorcycle
about an hour later. And
I didn't even think he was going to get there. You're like, oh, when he gets here, I'm like, he's not gonna show up, and he did. Yeah, he did. So that is like,
why? Because we've treated him right too. So
we have made a relationship with him, which is what you always talk about.
That's right. You have to make relationships with people.
I am very skeptical. I'm very much a city person.
Yeah. Just call Rotor.
Just call them. Tell them to come over right now.
And those are the guys that charge you like $160 an hour because it's in like an emergency, whatever.
Yeah.
And that also just leads to, again, this rental's been going for 18 months.
Yeah.
Like nonstop, no breaks.
Yep. Since last February.
And I'm starting to make a list of like things that need to get kind of like updated.
Yeah.
And kind of
refreshed.
It's refreshed. Like, a little spots of paint, scrubbing, some sealing, tile needs to get sealed.
I gotta reseal the tile,
Just, it's nothing anyone would notice.
Right.
But things that
we notice.
We notice, and things that we know if we don't keep up with is going to start to show wear.
Exactly.
And so I'm like, okay, we probably have like a week of work. Yeah. Like, I want to our deck is a wood deck. I want to spray it down, power spray it, and then restain it. And that's like, we need a week. Yeah, you need like a full afternoon to do that. So I'm just like, I guess maybe this fall when it's cooler, we can just like bite the bullet and like, just block off 5 days. I mean, the thing is, like, as the season winds down, you'll have a chunk of days where the only issue is when you have a chunk of days where you don't have to clean or do stuff, you want to do other work. So that's why those things don't get done, right? Because you're like, well, if I have a full day that I don't have to go over there, I'm going to do X other project, Okay, and last thing on this, before we talk about our renovation, one thing we've been doing too is we're really like not hoarding, but we've been collecting things that we need if something breaks. Yes. So like now down in the basement of this as rental house, there's an extra microwave.
Yes.
There's an extra a water kettle.
Yep.
You know, there's extra pots and pans. There's extra almost everything, and we just are buying this stuff as we're like going to yard
thrift
sales.
Stores. You know, you see a nice water kettle that's clean and good, and you're like, great, $5. I'll just keep it down in the basement.
We even now have like a big plastic covered tub of like all the extra sheets. So if someone spills some wine on something and needs a quick fix, it's right there.
Right, yeah. So we actually bought some new sheets and linens for different rooms, and we're like, okay, the ones we're not using, let's just put them down.
And we also like invested in like those steel like shelves, those like chef shelves.
Yeah, it's like, it's like you can buy them at Walmart. There's like those metal storage shelves downstairs.
So now they're all along the wall. Everything's in
more
plastic
organized,
bins, and it looks like a nice like hotel.
Yeah. Well, when it's not organized, it sucks because you're like, oh, I need an extra, X lotion or whatever, and you're like, where is it? I can't see it. But if it's on the shelf, you're like, boom, you just grab it.
Okay, so those of you have heard this know, we do have this one like farmhouse. It's rented. We bought another cabin in the same county, and it's close to a river. It's kind of almost across the street.
Yeah,
it's not on a river, but we call it the river house. And it's renovating it, and the big thing we're doing now is a driveway, and we're going to show pictures on the blog where our guy he's cleared. So basically we have two lots, and the house is on one lot, and the other lot was had brush and trees, and he's actually clearing that lot, so then he'll build a driveway that kind of curves around and goes up.
Yeah, it's kind of like a hairpin turn, not too extreme, but pretty much you go up straight, and then you take a left, and you go up a hill some more, and then you're at the house. And
it's cool. We go over there every couple of days. We've been meeting with him, talking to him. It's cool.
Yeah, it is. It's nice to see the progress, and we've been checking in with him and making sure he can see the property line. You actually put a big yellow rope up so he could see where the line was clearly, because he was paranoid about how far over he was going to go. So we're like, we'll go to Walmart. We'll get a big rope.
When we're doing stuff like this, it's one thing to say, okay, let's get it done. It's another to see it happening, and I realize how big of a project.
Yeah, it's huge.
It is. How much work it is, and how much planning, and he's trying to figure it out. I mean, it's kind of like when you edit video for people, and people give you it's massive stuff, and just say make something out of it. I mean, I don't think people realize how much work that is.
Well, you're making something out of nothing. I mean, it's funny because we talked to this guy who does the excavation work, and it's the same thing. You're like, I just have a blank slate of grass and dirt and trees, and I gotta make this elegant driveway that's gonna drain properly when it pours rain and can withstand people's cars going up and down it. And
it's like when people give you a bunch of raw video, there's no plan, there's rarely any kind of outline, and you just have to
make a narrative out of nothing.
So, and how do you do that? So you just jump in and just start?
You just have to start, moving pieces around and putting it in an order that makes sense, and chopping things and putting them back. And, a structure starts building, it just starts building. And that's basically what he's doing, He's like, I gotta go, you have to go step by step. That's it.
Right. Yeah, and he was telling us, because he's in his 60s, so he's been doing this his whole life. Yeah. He says the issue with him, especially as he's getting into it, is he's afraid of backing himself into a corner. He does something that then hurts what happens down the line. So especially when he starts, he's trying to figure out what the end is going to look like, so he doesn't do anything wrong now that hurts what's going to happen later on.
Yeah,
and so
he's got to think But
I'm just that's why we're paying him. It's
he knows what to do. I mean, I look at that and I'm like, I have no idea how this is even gonna go from the road like entrance up to the house. I'm like, I kind of see how it's gonna go, but
yeah,
I don't know.
So anyway, our hope is that this gets done before the end of the summertime.
Yeah,
so it's
it would be
July 9th. We're hoping hopefully by the end of August. I mean,
yeah,
I think we've learned now never to give ourselves kind of timelines, but it's still good to have kind of like,
I mean, you don't want it to never end.
Ideas,
but,
yeah.
You know, sometimes projects really do feel like they'll never end.
Yep.
But once you get to the end, you're like, oh, we did it.
Yep.
Okay, what's next?
And then we have a business.
Right.
Okay, let's talk about its numbers. We kind of briefly talked about it earlier with how its month has been, it's going. But as we always say, we like to judge our success on how many nights we have booked in 2016. So out of 365 nights, we've now booked 174 nights.
And our goal is 200 nights.
So
minimum.
In the past 2 weeks, so it's been 2 weeks since we kind of had this update kind of podcast, we've booked 10 nights.
Yay.
So it's been great. We've been actually getting people to book.
Yeah.
Now, the rest of the, nights, I mean, we could still book some. It's this month. August is almost completely booked. We have like 23, 25 nights. So the rest of the nights are going to come from the fall, which is still pretty open. People haven't really kind of thought about the fall yet. So I think we can do at least 26 nights in the fall.
I hope so.
I mean, I'm excited to see if we can, how many nights we can do over 200.
Yeah, exactly. I guess we'll see by at the end of the year how many over we did. See, I would love to know how many we booked our first year. I guess we would have to go back and like manually count.
Yeah, I wish Airbnb, maybe they do this, but I don't know how to find that info. I wish I could see the stats for like my whole 12 months, and then if we've been a member for multiple years, show me in comparison with other. Like,
yeah, they should be able to give you those stats.
Currently, I just see like the current. It's month they give me stats, but I can't see the full
like your history.
Yeah, hopefully they'll do that one time.
Yeah.
And then I do want to. It's mentioned as well. We talk about Airbnb, but we also rent on VRBO /HomeAway. And we really don't talk about them much because this year has been kind of dead.
I mean, a handful of people.
Now they just got bought by Expedia.
So I'm hoping that that's gonna bring our bookings up, because you would think that. Now, hold on one second. It's really interesting that Expedia bought them, because that really means that the hotel industry knows that vacation rentals, home rentals are important.
Right.
Because Expedia bought HomeAway.
Oh, but I mean, Expedia is like a hotel.
Yeah, you book hotels on Expedia.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, you book airlines, but hotels are on.
Well, I think they're just realizing,
it's a big part of the market.
I think you're absolutely right. Yeah,
that's what I'm trying to say.
Right, that they know people are booking hotels, but they're like, wait, people aren't coming to us because they want to book a home.
Like they want to compete with Airbnb.
But what's interesting, Expedia has a different model than Airbnb. Airbnb takes a piece of the action every time.
Yeah.
With HomeAway or VRBO, they have a subscription model where you pay $400 every year, and then they don't charge you anymore.
Yeah.
Except they do charge you when money is transferred, but that's supposedly to a third party.
It's weird.
Anyway, now we've made back our $400 that we paid.
Yeah.
It's this year, but it's not like it's last year. It's last year we got, a good number of families that booked week vacations.
From that site.
It was really nice, and I don't know why we aren't booking as much this year.
And you know what? Last year we had been on TripAdvisor, and we got so many inquiries and not a single booking that I took us off. And then I realized that TripAdvisor might be a good place to advertise. Not advertise, but to be on there.
It doesn't cost anything.
Yeah, and it's we had one inquiry in it, in the last month, and it didn't happen. So it's the same thing.
I think that's something we struggle with is, do you put your place on every single venue out there? Because, it normally doesn't cost you anything unless someone books.
Right.
or do you just pick the ones that work? I mean, part of me is like, we should just be on Airbnb.
Yeah, I mean, Airbnb, like we got 90% of our bookings there,
if not more.
But then I look on. The thing is, I look on TripAdvisor and I see all these other people around here, and I'm like, I want people to see us on there.
Yeah, that's true.
But nobody books through there, so what's the point?
So yeah, it's an interesting. You just kind of see how it plays out.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the last thing we always talk about that's the most fun, mainly for us, are what did renters leave behind?
Now, renters left a ton of stuff. Like, it's more than is even on this list.
Yeah, some people, they're like, when we leave, we're taking everything, and they clear out the fridge. Sometimes they throw it away, like I'll be taking the trash out, and I realize there's a lot of stuff in there.
Yeah.
That I would have eaten.
Yeah, like, it's sad. You're like, oh, like half of a perfectly good pizza that maybe they were embarrassed to leave like old pizza, but you're like, I would have totally eaten half a pizza.
I mean, I would never do this, but I would love to leave a note on the door that says, leave anything, we'll eat it. But
but it's like, how do you do that without sounding like you're like a dumpster diver?
It's not possible because we're grubby punks. So,
Okay, so these guys, there's this group of guys that stayed there, and they were actually very clean. We met them right before they left, and we were like, the house is spotless.
They were kind of there for like I would call it a nerd, bachelor party.
Yeah. So. And when they said like, oh, our friend's getting married, we want to get together, Jay was like, oh no. Like, but you kind of spelled it out for them where you were like, no party.
Well, I mean, I said, drink and be merry, but just be aware we don't do big parties. He's
right.
Like, it's no problem. Anyway, he left beer, Gatorade, Diet Ginger Ale, and
a vape pen.
A vape pen.
It was Diet Gatorade, too, and it was so bad I had to throw it away.
And Ryan had never seen a vape pen.
I never seen one. I've seen people using them, but I never like held one in my hand.
And she even took a couple tokes.
So did you. You totally did before me.
Yeah.
It was disgusting.
It was like chocolate or something.
It was like some weird like vanilla sweet. Oh god, it was disgusting. I was like, this is gross, but I can see why people love it. Because it's like liquid candy. Like, why can't you just make a vape pen that's not nicotine? It's just like a flavor. Like a vapor flavor. You know what I mean?
I stopped smoking when I was 26, so I haven't smoked in a very long time. And that was when you only do cigarettes. But from what I understand, I think you can do anything. And I mean, I think people put like marijuana in there. And
I don't know.
But, I think the whole point is like, why would you want to vape if there isn't some kind
stimulant,
of something in there to change how you feel? It's like that's the whole point, It's
very, very weird to me.
One family, they left like a bag of microwave food.
Yeah, it was
microwave.
It was like microwave soups and 2 things of like microwave mac and cheese, which I've never seen before. But I was like, I love mac and cheese, and I was like, the minute we got home, I was like, I am totally eating this. It was delicious.
I wonder if some people hearing this are offended that we talk about this stuff.
What, about stuff they left behind?
It truly makes me feel excited. Like, I get very excited when we go to clean the house after someone's is left, and the first thing we do is we look in the fridge to just see what they left.
Dude, the last people, it was like 2 people ago or whatever, they left super fancy ice cream.
So, there are the people that come and they're like, they're the people that they go shop at Trader Joe's or Whole Foods.
Right.
Those are the people we love.
Because they buy the nice stuff. Fancy cheese.
Like smoked Gouda and brie.
And brie.
Several jars of like nice hot sauce. And then just some like vegetables and then like a lot of condiments. So,
dude, our fridge is so full of condiments right now.
Yeah,
it's like,
I mean, and I love when people get like fancy condiments because you can like.
Because although I will say they accidentally took our fancy pink salt, like Himalayan salt, which you can just buy at Walmart, which is so funny, but. We were like, oh, they left all this stuff for us, but they took some of the stuff we leave for other people, so we have to, like, refill
It was a good trade. And then everyone, it left eggs. So
many
we have
eggs.
so I'm making quiches. And,
I made a quiche.
Delicious.
We've been eating scrambled eggs every morning for breakfast, which I kind of do anyway, but now I have it for free.
And then people have been leaving, a couple people, it left chocolate milk, which I don't drink, but...
I don't have a problem drinking chocolate milk.
It's just very, sweet and...
It's very sweet and high in calories. It's yeah, I'm like, oh my god. But it's also very delicious.
And then, as Ryan said, there were, half tubs of ice cream, really,
the
homemade...
good, it's made in the next county over, homemade ice cream. And there's still some left in the freezer too.
And we could always buy this stuff ourselves,
but we never do.
The only reason why we don't is because me personally, I will eat the entire thing myself,
right
and I don't buy it because I don't need to be eating. So it's nice when it's left behind.
Right, exactly.
Anyway, so that's why we're Shampoo and Booze, because no one left shampoo, but there was a lot of, there was some beer.
A lot of eggs.
Some booze. we could change this to hot sauce and eggs.
No, it was the one I thought of before was butter, and because before leaving butter, it was
a vape pen and a lettuce.
Butter and a vape pen.
We could just change the name of the podcast every week.
Look, somebody left a pair of shoes, a pair of really nice New Balance sneakers.
And they didn't. I want them back, and they were just by the trash. I'm like, why do that?
Yeah, they just put it by the garbage.
Yeah. So it's this week we had no calls or no questions sent in to us. We did have a good number of emails of just people kind of telling us their story and sharing us some ideas. But, again, we always enjoy when people call into our voicemail line, or if you want to email us a question or kind of a comment that we can read on the blog here on the podcast. It's just nice to share info from other people. You can check out our blog at shampooandbooze.com for some links we talk about, or you can join the conversation there.
You can leave a question or a comment on something you heard, like we said, on our voicemail line. The phone number is 540-407-8486.
And it's, one of those Google numbers, so we will never pick up, and you have 3 minutes to talk. We post an episode every Monday morning, and you can subscribe to this blog through iTunes or through YouTube, so you'll always get the latest. And you can listen, if you want, to our other podcast, which is called scavengerlife.com, and that's where we talk about how we sell stuff on eBay that we've scavenged, and that's how really we've paid for our rental. So if you want to get deep
really
into this,
nerdy,
you can do that. Anyway, thanks for being here. Bye.
Bye.